You know him as the manager of Tottenham, Portsmouth and West Ham, but you love him as King of the Jungle. Welcome to the show, Mr. Harry Redknapp. Hello, Harry. How are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Harry, we've been talking about knife crime, and you have said you want to come out and you want to help. How are you going to do this?
Well, I met a guy a few years ago called Mark Prince. Mark lost his son to knife crime. His son got stabbed outside the school. He's a young player at QPR, a player with a big future, I think, in football. Everybody you speak to spoke so highly of him as a great guy, great lad, and an outstanding young footballer. And Mark has dedicated his life since then, really, to trying to fight knife crime. He goes around prisons, he goes to youth clubs, he goes to schools. And I've become good pals with Mark. I've got so much respect for him. He's just an amazing guy. He's an ex-boxer. Come up the hard way, so he's seen all this through the streets, say to lose his own son. And he asked me to get involved with him, and I said I would absolutely love that.
Have you gone to any youth centres and prisons yet to speak to young people?
I'm with Mark. I spoke to Mark. We had a good chat last week, and I'm ready for him just to give me the shout, and I'm going to be, whenever he needs me, I'm going to get myself there to try to help in any small way I can.
So what's your approach going to be, Harry? What would you like to say to the young people that you're going to come across?
Carrying a knife is not a thing to do. How would they? They're going to ruin the lives of their parents. They'll get put in prison. Don't carry a knife. There's no need. Let's do something about it, please. We're losing too many young people at the moment. It seems there's an epidemic out there of knife crime at the moment, and we've just got to find it. We just all can't sit back and do nothing about it. Mark is the driving force. He's a man. He's lost his own son. He's willing now to go to speak to these kids, to try to educate them. He's dedicated his life to it. So I'm just going to help in any way I can, especially with fundraising. I'm going to go to lots of people that I know who can help, to put some money into getting some better facilities for the kids, youth clubs. Let's get them off the street. Let's talk to them. Let's educate some of the parents as well, because they must know their sons. If my 16, 17-year-old son was going out at night, and, I think I'd have a good idea whether he was going to carry a knife or not, So I think the parents need educating as well. They've got to do something to help to stop this as well. So,
Harry, you must have worked with a lot of young people in being a manager. You've been a manager for a very long time.
Yeah.
You've seen young youth players come from the youth teams into playing for the first team. Have you come across people? Young people before who, let's call it teetering on the edge. Football was one thing, but their private lives also might have led them down a completely separate path. Because I have a feeling that you may have been here before. You may have had to talk to young people before and say, look, keep your head down, concentrate on what you're doing, and don't you let yourself get distracted. You don't want to go down the path that will lead you into trouble.
Absolutely. I mean, I spent the day last week with an ex-footballer, a very good player, played at the top level, and we sat down, had a chat, and he was from Nottingham, and he told me how he got in with the wrong crowd, and he was very close to, and he got caught up in something one night, even though he was no part of, he was just happened to be in the wrong place with a couple of his friends who were breaking the law. In fact, it was even worse. It was a gun crime. And he didn't realise and he got caught up in it, and he could easily have been put away, and his life would have been ruined. But we've really got to say, look, don't get involved with these things. Keep yourself on the straight and narrow. There's opportunities out there. You haven't got to go and start carrying knives and threatening people or stabbing people. To stab somebody is beyond comprehension for me. I mean, how do you do something like that? What makes these kids want to do it? We've got to find out. What drives them to being so violent and wanting to hurt somebody in such a terrible way.
Have you noticed the difference between when you started working with the youth players? You've been around, you've been a manager for a long time. Have you noticed an increase in youth wishing to, carry knives, get a little bit more into trouble? And if you have noticed it, why do you think that is? What has changed in our society, do you think?
Massive change in it, hasn't there? I mean, it's a crime that has come in the last, 10 years or whatever. It's got absolutely so much worse than it's ever been. Month by month, year by year, it seems to be getting even worse. I don't know whether it's like they want to be, whether it's stuff they watch, this gangster stuff now that we see on, that they watch, and the music is, a lot of that seems to be now about, this violent type of music they listen to. It seems to be in lots of kids' cases. It's, I have to. They'll say I have to carry a knife because if I don't carry a knife, I can't protect myself because other guys carry a knife. That's how it seems to have gone. It seems, it's the only way I can protect myself now against other people who've got knives. Please, let's all put the knives away. Years ago, blokes, if there was a real grievance and someone had a punch-up, they'd have a fight with their fist. I mean, now this nonsense, this of stabbing people is just beyond my... I just can't understand it at all.
Well, Harry, I wish you much success. I'm sure you are going to be a positive force for good when it comes to knife crime, and I hope you get to achieve what you set out to achieve. And thank you. Welcome to the show, Mr. Prince.
How are you, my brother? And it's Dr. Mark Prince, OBE now.
Yes, I like the full titles. Right. I like the full title. So tell me about your story, and tell me, I mentioned it earlier, but I want to hear from you about your story, how the foundation came together.
Yeah, it's a very, very traumatic and sad and heartfelt story of my son, me getting a phone call that my son had been stabbed and having to go down to the school and then go to the hospital, and the doctor telling me that my son had opened his heart and tried to massage his heart to keep him alive, but he couldn't. And that began a cycle of tremendous pain and hurt and just anger and all of these crazy emotions, and just you wanting to have revenge, and then going through the process of finding yourself through all the mess and the pain, and going out and giving back and starting to reach out to young people and finding your purpose in there to try and honor your son's name and save other children's lives and stop parents from going through this, and trying to reach out to the government when they give you the platform to get them to wake up and be focused on the root causes and stop trying to put a plaster over it and look at their responsibility towards all of the whole picture in life crime and how the media can take part. So it's just been so much on the journey. But that's how it all began after my son was stabbed outside school, breaking loads of children's hearts, watching him being stabbed,
And it's important to stress, I mean, I've read the story behind what happened with your son, but it wasn't a gang crime. And we heard earlier one of our callers saying we all naturally assume that anybody who gets stabbed, it's all gang related. But this had nothing to do with gangs.
Nothing to do with it. And that assumption's based on how the media pushes gangs and knife crime because they have their agenda. So people just pick up this assumption straight away because it's been fed into them whenever there's a title and whenever the press, report on things like this. Even in my son's case, they tried to relate the guy that stabbed my son to a gang when there was no gang connection. It was just someone that was messed up, somebody that had a mindset that needed support. Red flags had been coming up for him, and they were ignored by the school. They were ignored by the people that should have taken care of things and done something. And as a result of not looking out for somebody who showed signs that there were some mental issues, there were some problems, and it resulted in him using a knife on my son.
A horrific story. Tell us about the foundation. Tell us how people can get involved, and tell us what the foundation does.
Okay, so the foundation, I will personally go out, I reach out and I deliver assemblies. You have to be there to actually experience the power of the assembly and seeing hundreds of young people just reaching out, crying, being emotional, because what they've recognized is the areas that I've touched on, issues of the heart, whether there's problems at home, whether there's young people that are being bullied, guys that have been joining gangs, doing things. It all comes from the school system, because all young kids come throughout the school system. So you'll find that they've all got problems from when they're young. And then once we touch down on those issues, we can now start to help these young people and run workshops and use the boxing that I've gone through, because boxing has been a huge part of my life, and it helped me to wake up, because I was homeless at 15. I was on the streets for a while. And throughout that experience, I learned a lot about life before I made a decision to try and do something about my life and change the direction I was in. And I read it all in my book, The Prince of Peace, which is a bestseller on Amazon at the moment. I would encourage all schools to get that book. I would encourage people to get it, because it gives them a great understanding of my journey, what KPF is trying to achieve. And basically, we're reaching out to young people on the levels that we know really makes change. And we really want to make change. This is about outcomes. How can we support you now through the process of what you're going through, your hurts, because you need healing, because hurting people hurt people. And if we can heal those hurts, then you won't want to hurt anybody. If you can start focusing and believing that you have a purpose on this planet, then what happens is you've got no time to join a gang. So we don't have to focus on knives. We don't have to focus on gangs. We focus on inspiration. We focus on you seeing that you're here for a purpose, and that purpose is a good one, and you can add value to your community and to your life. And young people respond to that. They love that. And what they need, evidence is truth is self-evident. So I am that self-evident truth. And that's why the work I do works, because everyone has a story. And my story engages with young people on high levels, and they see their self in me, where they've had problems in life and they've been able to turn it around.
How did Harry Redknapp become to get involved in the foundation?
Harry Redknapp I met Harry Redknapp at the Spirit of London Awards. Mm-hmm. This is years ago. And we struck up a friendship. He respected what I was doing and said, I'd love to be able to help and support. It was funny because we hadn't actually done anything yet. So as we were going along with our relationship, every time I'd called him, we'd talk about what's going on. He said, look, you'd always say, anything you want me to do, we'll do. So, when nothing happens before its time, and this is one of those occasions where nothing happens before its time, yeah? Because I realized that, okay, do you know what? I want to run Inspiring Future Champions campaign. So I contacted Harry again. He always returns my calls, and I said, look, I want to run this campaign. I think this is the bit that's going to be really important for you to join into. But he went and gone off and obviously done celebrity and whatnot. So when he's come back, we're able now to kick off and get things moving. But who would have known that he would have got through and won, being in the jungle?
He became the king of the jungle.
That was awesome. That was awesome because, that just helps Harry as well with his profile within the communities, his profile within the public, and they could see what Harry's really all about, and they love him because he's genuine. And these things are really important for me, having someone genuine, authentic, who really cares. And one of my visions for KPF, one of what makes KPF different, is that because I've been former champion, I've got contacts with people that are top athletes and people in that sort of celebrity type of world mindset. So what happens is I wanted to utilize those people to be more of a model of what I'm already doing, because when I go into schools, because I box, they're excited. They want your signature, they want to take pictures, and all of this helps to inspire kids because they can see themselves in you. So I reckon if I could bring more of the people that they would normally never get to meet, then they could aspire to be more like those people. So we need to see that truth, that kids, instead of us being all high and mighty, I'm a celebrity, no, come down to everyday level, because that's where we've come from, and let the young people see that you can aspire to be just like this, and they won't want to get into knives. They won't want to have a gang and stuff like that because they're aspiring to be awesome. So this is what Harry brings to the table, and this is why I love the combination, because people sometimes think, because I'm not, I'm old, I'm an old white guy, and I can't relate. No, you can, because this is matters of the heart and the mind. This isn't about how you look, and this isn't about your age. And as young people see that if you care, you care. They don't care about how you look. You care about them and you create an opportunity. And this is what Harry's doing.
Tell us where people can find you online. Where can they come and donate, or if there's school or people in schools listening, how can they get you to their school?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that question. Just contact the KPF. So it's www.thekpf.com, and you'll see where there's inquiries. We want people to contact us to support us in any way if they've got skills. We want corporates to come on board and invest in us, because we've had our time looking for funding, trying to get help from, the government, all of that. We've had all that struggle, and we've stayed having nothing and still had a great impact with barely nothing. So what could we do if we had the millions that some of these other organizations are getting? What sort of impact would we really make if we've had this impact on nothing? So please contact the website, contact us on social media. We've got at the KPF on Twitter, at the KPF on Instagram. They can contact us on there as well. But the website's the key place. Donate on there. Let us know what it is you have in mind, what skills you have that you think you can add to the KPF. And as we go throughout doing the tour, one of the most important things is having a support system, because I can't help every child with every problem. So when a young girl comes and tells me she's been self-harming and stuff, it's nice to have an arm with KPF that works in those areas that we can signpost that young person to. So every young person, they all have different sort of issues. So once we have all these organizations connected to us, we can always help every young child and signpost them to the right people to get the right help. And in that way, we have great outcomes.